Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada,
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Nittai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Nittai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nittai Gaura Hari Bol. Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya Koro Edase. Trinape Kartihina Gurudev कृपा बिंदु दिया करो ए दासे तृणापे कहती ना गुरुदेव कृपा बिंदु दिया करो ए दासे तृणापे कहती ना गुरुदेव कृपा बिंदु दिया करो ए दासे तृणापे खाती ना गुरुदेव कृपा बिंदु दिया करो ए दासे तृणापे खाती ना सकल सहने बल दिया करो निज माने स्पृहहीना सकल सहाने बल दिया करो निज माने स्पृहहीना सकल सहने बल दिया करो निज माने स्पृहहीना सकल सहने बल दिया करो निज माने स्पृहहीना सकले समाना करिते सकति देहोनाता जाता जाता सकले समाना करिते सकति देहोनाता जाता जाता सकले समाना करिते सकति देहोनाता जाता जाता सकले समाना करितो सकति देहोनाथ जाता जाता तबे तो गाइबो हरि नाम सुखे अपराध बेहाता तब तो गाइबो हरि नाम सुखे अपराध बेहाता तबे तो गाइबो हरि नाम सुखे अपराधा बेहाता तब तो गाइबो हरि नाम सुखे अपराध बेहाता काबे नो कृपा लभिए जाना कृतार्था होई बेनाता काबे नो कृपा लभिए जाना कृतार्था होई बेनाता शक्ति बुद्धिहीना आमी अति दीना करो मोरे आत्मसाता 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 योग्यता विचारे किछु नाही पाई तुम्हारा करुण सारा योग्यता विचारे किछु नाही पाई तुम्हारा करुण सारा योग्यता विचारे किछु नाही पाई तुम्हारा करुणा सारा जगत विचारे किछु नाही पाए तुम्हारा करुणा सारा करुणा ना होइले कांदिया कांदिया प्राण न राखिब हारा करुणा ना होइले कांदिया कांदिया प्राण न राखिब हारा करुणा ना होइले कांदिया कांदिया प्राण न राखिब हारा करुणा ना होइले कांदिया कांदिया प्राण न राखिब हारा गुरुदेव कृपा बिंदु धिया करो दासे न पिकातिहीना कृपा गुरु दासे न पिकातिहीना गुरुदेव कृपा बिंदु दिया करो दासे न पिकातिहीना गुरुदेव कृपा बिंदु दिया करो दासे न पिकातिहीना तृणापिकातिहीना तृणापिकातिहीना जय भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर शिला प्रभुपदा भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर प्रभुपदा जय भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर प्रभुपदा भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर प्रभुपदा जय भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर प्रभुपदा भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर प्रभुपदा जय भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर प्रभुपदा भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर प्रभुपदा जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव प्रभुपाद गुरुदेव प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव प्रभुपाद गुरुदेव जय जय प्रभुपाद नीताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नीताय गौर हरि बोल नीताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नीताय गौर हरि बोल
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Rama,
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada,
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada,
Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki,
Prabhupada.
Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Om Swasti no Govinda Swasti no Achyutananto Swasti no Vasudevo Vishnurdhadatu Swasti no Narayano Naro Vai Swasti na Padmanabhah Purushottamo Dadatu Swasti no Vishvakseno Vishveshwaraha Swasti no Rishikesho Harirdhadatu Swasti no Vainateyo Harihi Swasti no Anjana Suto Hanurbhagavato Dadatu Swasti Swasti Sumangalai Kesho Mahan Shri Krishna Sachitananda Gana Sarveshwareshwaro Dadatu Om Swasti Om Swasti Om Swasti Shri Guru Paramananda Premananda Phalaprada Vrajananda Pradhananda Sevayamani Yojaya Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namah Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ध्यानम् प्रातः श्रीमन्नवद्वीपे द्विनेत्रं द्विभुजं गुरुं वराभयप्रदं शान्तं स्मरेत् तन्नामपूर्वकम् त्वं गोपिका वृषरावेस्तनयान्तिके असि सेवाधिकारिणि गुरो निजपादपद्मे दास्यं प्रदाय कुरु मां व्रजकानने श्री राधाङ्घ्रिसेवनरसे सुखिन्यां सुखाब्धौ इदमासनं स्वागतं सुस्वागतम् एतत्पाद्यम् इदमर्घ्यम् इदमाचमनीयम् एष मधुपर्कः इदं पुनराचमनीयम् इदं स्नानीयम् ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णैकचेतमदमोह विनाशकारिन् मद्दृष्टिगोचर प्रभो प्रभुपाद स्वामिन् दोषाभिवृत्ति परिदूषितमन्दबुद्धेः संचिन्तयामि चरणौ तव भक्तिहेतोः वृन्दावने रमणरेति प्रसिद्धभूमौ तत्रापि कृष्ण बलराम सुपादमूले ज्ञानं परं परमकृष्ण सुधर्म्युक्तम् दन्तस्तु देव प्रभुपाद नमो नमस्ते 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 कृपपूर्ण दृष्टि नमस्ते नमस्ते महानन्दधात्रे नमामो नमामः पुनर्रक्ष रक्ष प्रसिद्ध प्रभो पाहि मां दक्ष दक्ष भक्ति सिद्धांत शिष्याय भक्ति वेदांत नामिने प्रसन्नाय प्रशांताय तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। श्रीवंगभूमि जनभूषण गौरलीला गौरांग भाव परिसारण मात्रशीला राधा मुकुंद पद पद्म मनोविलासिन् आनंद राशि प्रभुपाद नमो नमस्ते। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। सद्गुरु श्रीला प्रभुपाद की। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा
Everyone together loudly
कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे
जगत गुरु श्रीला प्रभुपाद की।
हरे राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna
Gaur Hari
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare
जगत गुरु श्रीला प्रभुपाद की हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Hare Krishna
शिवो
Hare Krishna Krishna
कृष्णा
Krishna
Krishna
Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna
Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare, Vivo,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Srila Prabhupada ki,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Vivo, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Srila Prabhupada ki,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama,
Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Vivo,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Gaur Hari,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Ram Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna Krishna
Bolo 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 bolo.
Krishna Hare
Srila Prabhupada ki.
Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare,
Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare
Gaur Hari Bol.
Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna
Krishna Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
जय प्रभुपदा 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 जय प्रभुपदा
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada
जय प्रभुपदा 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 जय प्रभुपदा
Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Prabhupada
जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Prabhupada
जय जय गुरुदेव प्रभुपाद गुरुदेव जय जय प्रभुपाद
Jaya Jaya Gurudev Prabhupada Gurudev Prabhupada
निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल
Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol
प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा
Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada
प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा
Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada
प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा
Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada
गुरुदेवा शिल प्रभुपदा
Gurudeva Srila Prabhupada
जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Prabhupada
निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल
Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol
प्रभुपाद 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 प्रभुपाद
Prabhupada 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 Prabhupada
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 प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद जय श्रीला प्रभुपाद
Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Srila Prabhupada
जय जय गुरुदेव प्रभुपाद गुरुदेव जय जय प्रभुपाद
Jaya Jaya Gurudev Prabhupada Gurudev Prabhupada
जय जय गुरुदेव प्रभुपाद गुरुदेव जय जय प्रभुपाद
Jaya Jaya Gurudev Prabhupada Gurudev Prabhupada
निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल
Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol
निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल
Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol
निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल निताय गौर हरि बोल
Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol
निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol
Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol,
Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol,
Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol,
Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol,
Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol,
Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol,
Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol,
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol
Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Nitai Gaura Premanande
Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Srila Prabhupada ki. Srila Prabhupada Vyasa Puja Maha Mahotsav ki. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Are you able to see the presentation? Let me know when you are able to see. Can see. So today is the most auspicious appearance day of Srila Prabhupada, and we have said it as the most blessed event. And we have about half an hour or so before the DT gets dressed, and we will offer our offerings to Srila Prabhupada. But in the meantime, it's important to contemplate who is Srila Prabhupada. Why do we need Srila Prabhupada in our life? What does he do? What is it that Srila Prabhupada that he can offer or can give to us that we don't have? So I wanted to touch upon these points today. What is Diksha? Why from Srila Prabhupada? What is the role of Srila Prabhupada in our lives? And I don't want to say that, only we are the right organization, the other organization is not right, and there are some things which are not being done right. Keeping aside all those things and the sentiments, sometimes we say we are the true followers of Srila Prabhupada. Let us see from the scriptures. We will take an example because many of us, when we are in our day-to-day life, come across this question, the role of Srila Prabhupada in our lives, we may get also confused that somebody is saying that they are also worshipping Srila Prabhupada, we are also worshipping Srila Prabhupada. What is the difference? What is it that Srila Prabhupada does, and how we should have in our life Srila Prabhupada? Even if you don't know what is the necessity of a guru in your life, I'm sure you will find something. What I want is, please pay attention for next half an hour. It's a very, very striking point from Srimad Bhagavatam, which is there. I mean, we don't see, we don't pay attention, and sometimes we get confused. Oh, so and so Guru Maharaj is coming. So and so Guru Maharaj has so many followers. आपके यहाँ तो 3-4 लोग आते हैं. क्या कर रहे हो वहाँ पे? इधर आ जाओ. Right? The mind also says, yeah, probably that's what it is. I'm supposed to go for, wherever the mass people are there, large number of followers. वहाँ जाएंगे, क्या प्रॉब्लम है? प्रभुपाद का डीटी वहाँ पे भी है. Let us see. Very interesting. While reading Krishna book, this is from Krishna book. Actually, this is all written by Srila Prabhupada, and wonderful writing by an acharya who knows exactly what truth is and how we can get that truth in our life and how we'll feel so good by knowing this. Let us see for the next half an hour. The context that I am having today is, if by this picture, if somebody can guess, yeah, anybody else? Krishna's birth, okay. You are 100% right. What more details? No, not you, Mal. Okay. Lavish, okay, I mean, that the picture is like that, okay. But Devaki is pregnant, and as per Krishna book, Devaki and Vasudev, when they were carrying Krishna in their lives, they were very effulgent, they were very bright. So the context that we are having today is, in our lives when Krishna comes, the lives that we have been leading without Krishna, and when Krishna enters, what transformation happens? These are all real life examples. Devaki and Vasudev, in one way they were devotees, they have done some austerities, but they were also ordinary people. But Krishna entered in the mind of Vasudev, and from the mind of Vasudev, he got transferred to mind of Devaki. And from mind of Devaki, when Krishna was there in Devaki's body, Devaki was very, very effulgent. Even Kamsa could sense, oh, the Supreme Lord has entered. My days are numbered. So it's a very wonderful thing. Unlike, our birth, which we don't have any memory of and how it happens, it just happens. But here Krishna appears in his own transcendental form, and how he enters in the mind of Vasudeva, and how from mind of Vasudeva he gets transferred to Devaki. And where is the role of Srila Prabhupada in all of this? Very, very wonderful this. Just pay attention. We will take just 5 verses from Srimad Bhagavatam. Each of this verse has something very powerful. This is the first verse. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 2nd chapter, 16th verse. Bhagavan api viswatma bhaktanam abhayankaraha avivesam sabhagena mana anakadundubhe. Anakadundubhi is actually the name of Vasudev. His another name is Vasudev. Mana Anakadundubhe. So the Lord has entered into the minds of Anakadundubhe. In his mind, the Lord has entered. Who has entered? Krishna. But who is Krishna? Here it is mentioned. Bhagavan api viswatma. Bhagavan api viswatma bhaktanam abhayankaraha. Avivesam sabhagena. Bhagavan, who's filled with 6 opulences and who's also Viswatma, who's present in this entire universe, in every single atom, that Bhagavan entered into the mind of Vasudeva. And how did he enter? Avivesa amsa bhagena. The word amsa bhagena is translated by Prabhupada, the Lord with all his opulences, with full opulences, entered into the mind of Vasudeva. One thing that you have to pay attention here is, first thing that happens is Bhaktanam Abhayankaraha. Our lives that we live, the life is always filled with fear. आधा जिंदगी ऐसे ही निकल गया भय में जी के, क्या होगा मेरा, बच्चों का क्या होगा, घर का क्या होगा, पापा का क्या होगा, नौकरी का क्या होगा. Always there is fear. So here it is Bhaktanam Abhayankaraha. You want to become fearless in life? Krishna enters in the mind of Anakadundubhi, Vasudeva, he became fearless. As I said, there are very interesting, important words here. Pay attention to this one word, Amsa Bhagena, with all of his potent opulences, Sad Aishwarya Purna. So the Lord didn't enter, or just a fraction of his energy or something like that. The Lord, with full opulences, entered into the mind of Vasudev. I want to build this case. Pay attention to all these minute things and see the role of Srila Prabhupada in our lives, what he does. Just from few verses from Bhagavatam, and these are real life incidents. Imagine in your life you have a person who's very inimical. You are in a very good, comfortable position, Madhav, but you have a bully in your school. He has done once or twice, he has pulled your legs, but he's around, he's not doing anything. How will you feel? You'll not feel comfortable. Right? Somebody who's got a demoniac mentality, who wants to harm you, and he's there in your lives. How do you feel? You feel very fearful, you feel uncomfortable, you don't want his presence in your life. Whereas you have someone who's your genuine well-wisher, your parents, your family members, your relatives, in their presence, even amidst the difficult situations, even amidst the most trying circumstances, you feel secured, you feel safe. But the problem is, this genuine well-wishers in our life don't last forever. Or you say something wrong, you say something inappropriate, maybe they will go away in your lives. That is why we need the biggest well-wisher in our life, who's always there, Krishna. He's there in our heart. And when Krishna comes, Abhayankara, actually one becomes completely fearless. That Lord is always present despite our lack of obeying his instructions, lack of attention towards him. He's there, but we are not cognizant of his presence. We are not aware of it. We don't know, we don't think that Lord is present in my heart. But if we become aware and cognizant, and if we become knowledgeable about the presence of the Lord, our life becomes fearless. Very interestingly, the word that Prabhupada uses, there is no place for fear when our dear Krishna is near. You don't have to fear anytime when the Lord Krishna is present. Actually, he is present in each one of our heart. Not just in our hearts, every single living entity in this world, in their heart, Krishna is present. So that is why this verse in Bhagavad Gita which comes, Bhoktaram Yagyatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suhridam Sarvabhutanam Gyatva Mam Santim Archati. We are looking for well-wishers who are our friends, who can be there in our times of crisis, who can give a lending hands to us, who can support us. Here is the verse in Bhagavad Gita which says, Suhridam Sarvabhutanam. The Lord says, a person in full consciousness of me, knowing me to be the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and austerities, the supreme Lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wisher of all living entities. This well-wishers, the so-called well-wishers in this material world are temporary. They may be there for some time, but with force of time they may be separated. Or with our cruel, harsh words, they may get separated. Our relationships become sour. But here is one who's always there, no matter how much we are disobeying, no matter how much we are not paying respect to him. He's so compassionate. He's accompanying us in every single life in our heart. That's why he's the well-wisher of all living entities. A person in full consciousness of me and a well-wisher of all living entities attains peace from the pangs of material miseries. You're looking for solutions from this material world. You're looking for some relief that the problems that you're facing. What should you do? You can get this peace from the pangs of material miseries. In the purport, Prabhupada mentioned something very interesting. The meaning Viswatma is that the only lovable object for everyone. Because of forgetfulness of this object, people are suffering in this material world. The real cause of our suffering in this material world, there is no two reasons, just one reason. Because we are forgetful of our relationship with Krishna. Only lovable object. He is the biggest well-wisher, and we have completely forgotten. And because of that forgetfulness, we want to become independent controller, independent enjoyer. We want to do this in our lives, and we are struggling. Because of forgetfulness of this object, people are suffering in this material world. But if one fortunately revives his old consciousness of loving Krishna and connects with Viswatma, one becomes perfect. Somehow or other, if you become cognizant of the presence of the Lord in your heart, and you can revive that relationship with him, somehow, that is what is the perfection in a human life. And that old consciousness can be revived, and this is the perfection of human life. One may question, one intelligent person should ask, how will I revive this consciousness with Krishna? How will I become cognizant? How will I know about the presence of the Lord? I have not been knowing about Him for such a long time. How is it that all of a sudden I'll know about Him? What is it that I need to do? That verse we had some time before, Sattvam Visuddham Vasudeva Sabditam Yad Iyate Tatra Puman Apabhrataha Sattve cha Tasmin Bhagavan Vasudevo Hi Adhokshajo Me Namasa Vidhiyate. Very important verse. If the Lord cannot be perceived, if we can never know Him, then there is no point trying to know Him. Right? If we can never know Him, He is Adhokshaja, He is beyond the perception of our senses, we are conditioned, we can never know Him, then why should we try? But here it is mentioned how you can perceive the Lord. Sattvam Visuddham Vasudeva Sabditam Yad Iyate Tatra Puman Apabhrataha. Iyate means one can perceive the presence of the Lord. Right now we are ignorant of the presence of the Lord in our heart. We don't know. We are not able to perceive. But this is not going to remain like this forever. Yadiyate, one can actually perceive the Lord if one goes to the state of Sattvam Visuddham Vasudeva Sabditam. It's a very beautiful verse. I had spoken about this. But in that verse, in the purport, Prabhupada mentions this one line which is very powerful. In pure devotional service, one simply serves the Supreme. Don't get distracted by people coming. If they want to come, if they don't disturb, that's better. If you pay attention to this half an hour, after this, wherever you'll be, I don't know, but this truth should remain because somebody is sharing. I'm telling you, this is there in Bhagavatam. This is a very crucial thing. What is the need of spiritual master who's a pure devotee? So here it is mentioned in pure devotional service, one simply serves the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a matter of duty, without reason, and without being impeded by material conditions. This is called Suddha Sattva or Vasudev. Because in that stage, the Supreme Person Krishna is revealed in the heart of the devotee. So there is a stage where Krishna will be revealed in the heart. And what is that state? That state is called Vasudeva state. And how do you achieve that state? In pure devotional service, one simply serves the Lord as a matter of duty without reason, without being impeded by material conditions. Usually when we come and serve the Lord, we have some motives, we have some reasons, we have some, impeded by conditions. Only when so many things are satisfied, I'll come and serve the Lord. We put so many things. But it is mentioned here, if we serve the Lord in pure devotional service and as a matter of duty, without reason, without being impeded by material conditions, that is called the Suddha Sattva or Vasudev state. In that state, the Supreme Person is revealed in our heart. So far so good. If you want to become Abhayankara in life, you should become aware and cognizant of the presence of the Lord in your heart as Paramatma. How do you become cognizant of Him? If you engage in devotional service without any motive, without any reason, that state Suddha Sattva, that is where the God will be revealed in the heart. Now very interestingly, what is good fortune, Prabhupada says in the purport of this, but we can experience the Lord's presence when we purify our consciousness by rendering pure devotional service unto Him. Forgetfulness of Krishna is the greatest misfortune. If you think that some family members and relatives died in COVID, that's the greatest misfortune. That's not right. If you think that you have been, dismissed from your job, or you've been sacked for not performing or something like that, and you think that is the biggest misfortune, no, that's not. Forgetfulness of Krishna is the greatest misfortune. That is why we are suffering in this material world, because we are forgetful of Krishna. And remembrance of Krishna is the greatest benediction in life. So as soon as we remember Him, He is present with us. Going further. So we saw that Krishna entered in the mind of Vasudev, and when he entered in the mind of Vasudev with his full opulences, then he became Abhayankara. And further what happens, let's see. So then it says, Sa Bibhrat Paurusham Dhama Bhrajamano Yatha Rabihi Durasado Ati Dudrushaha Ati Duradarsho Bhutanam Sambhabhuvaha. While carrying the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within the core of his heart, Vasudev wore the Lord's transcendently illuminating effulgence, and thus he became as bright as the sun. He was therefore very difficult to see or approach through sensory perception. Indeed, he was unapproachable and unperceivable even for such formidable men as Kamsa, and not only for Kamsa, but for all living entities. See, these are very wonderful things which are revealed in Bhagavatam. And one has to be little attentive and not get, distracted and just come for some this thing, kya ho raha hai, kuch bolne wale hain, kya hai. Pay attention to this important verses of Bhagavatam. So when he was carrying the form of the Lord within the core of his heart, Vasudeva bore the Lord's transcendently illuminating effulgence, and thus he became as bright as the sun. One word, I think the first word that I told in the previous verse was the Lord appeared with his full opulences. Pay attention to just this one word, because this is the crucial point where the need of a spiritual master arrives in our heart. The word is called Dhama. Sa bibhrat paurusham dhama bhrajamano yatha rabihi. So the word Dhama in this verse is Prabhupada is saying that his heart became a residence. Krishna book chapter 2, Prabhupada actually describes the word Dhama as the appearance of the form of Krishna anywhere, and specifically within the heart is called Dhama. Now pay attention, when the Lord appears in our heart, he resides in the heart, then our heart becomes a Dham. Dham refers not only to Krishna's form, but also to his name, his qualities, and his paraphernalia. Everything becomes manifest simultaneously. So when the Lord appears, it's not just the form of the Lord, his name, his qualities, his paraphernalia. If that appears in our heart, then this is called Dham. And in the purport of this verse, Prabhupada says something powerful. Dham refers to the place where the Supreme Personality of Godhead resides. I've highlighted in bold because this is something important. Dham refers to the place where the Supreme Personality of Godhead resides. In the beginning of the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said, Dhamna svena sada nirasta kuhakam satyam param dhimahi. In the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no influence of material energy. Dhamna svena sada nirasta kuhakam. Any place where the Supreme Personality of Godhead is present by his name, form, qualities, or paraphernalia, immediately becomes a dham. For example, we speak of Vrindavan dham, Dwarka dham, Mathura dham, because in these places, the name, fame, qualities, and paraphernalia of the Supreme Godhead are always present. Similarly, if one is empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to do something, the core of his heart becomes a dham, and thus he becomes so extraordinarily powerful that not only his enemies but also people in general are astonished to observe his activities. Because he is unapproachable, his enemies are simply struck with wonder, as explained here by the words Durasado Ati Durdarshaha. Very important. When the Lord appears in the heart, what happens? And Prabhupada, as he is clarifying, that this is the heart becomes dham, where the Supreme Personality of Godhead resides, and he goes on to explain what is the significance of dham. We go to Mathura dham, we go to Vrindavan dham, or we say Dwarka dham. The dham is the place where the Supreme Personality of Godhead is present by his name, form, qualities, or paraphernalia. So similarly, if somebody becomes empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to do something, the core of his heart becomes a dham. This is a very key point. Now, I want you to think, when I was meditating on this verse, pay attention to these two words called accommodation versus residence. Prabhupada says dham is the place where the Lord resides. When do we look for accommodation? Temporary, right? When you are going to some place, you want to adjust yourself in that place for some time. You're not looking for a permanent residence. That is accommodation. But residence, where you are residing, there is a, you may go to some place which has got all the facilities and comforts, but it is not still the same as your home. You want to have a home-like atmosphere. You want to see where I can get that home-like atmosphere you're missing. Even though, everything is there, you are searching for that. That is residence. Residence is home-like. But accommodation is something which is temporary. So if you are in your heart, already there is kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya which is filled, then what we are trying to do is we are trying to accommodate Krishna in our heart. Somehow Krishna also should find some place in that corner with all my desires, this thing that I have got, and should go inside the heart. That is not dham. Dham where the Lord resides permanently. Srila Prabhupada gives the following nice definition for Dham in his purport to Srimad Bhagavatam verse 10.2.17, which we are seeing. Dham refers to the place where the Supreme Personality of Godhead resides. The difference between a pure devotee and all of us struggling devotees who are eternally forgetful of our relationship with Krishna. We're not even cognizant of his presence in our heart. We're not able to even perceive him. In their hearts, the pure devotees' hearts, the Lord resides permanently. Their heart is Dham. Their heart is, you don't have to go to some you don't have to go to some Vrindavan Dham or Dwarka Dham to find someone who's a pure devotee. The pure devotee carries those Dham in their heart because they always have the Lord permanently residing in their heart. This is the difference. So what happens? There is a verse in Bhagavatam. It says, Bhavad Bidha Bhagavatas Tirtha Bhuta Swayam Vibho Tirthi Kurbanti Tirthani Swanta Sthena Gadabrata. My Lord, devotees like your good self are verily holy places personified, because you carry the personality of Godhead within your heart. You turn all places into places of pilgrimage. If you are, wondering that I should go someday to India, because there are so many dhams, like, people quit their body in Banaras. People quit their body in some sacred places thinking that this is a holy place. If I die in this holy place, I will not take birth again in this material world. You don't have to go anywhere. Find a place where there are pure devotees who have gone, because they carry that potency. Since they are having the Lord in their heart, they can transform any place into dham. Boston is a dham because Srila Prabhupada landed here, because he was present here and he was carrying the Lord within him. He could transform millions of people with whom he came in touch, and he is still transforming people like us who are still forgetful, who are not at all bothered about reviving this relationship and becoming, that fearless in life. Abhayankar, that situation. So far so good. Are you all there? Yes or no? If it is a yes, say loud Haribol. Very nice. So next, what happens? So in this purport, Prabhupada is actually mentioning that if anyone visits a holy place, he must search out the pure devotees residing in such a holy places. Take lessons from them. Try to apply such instructions in practical life, and thus gradually prepare oneself for the ultimate salvation, going back to Godhead. This is the real reason of traveling to a dham. Find the pure devotees who are residing there, and go and take lessons from them. Not just simply find some lake or some water body, go and take a dip and forget about it. That's all, my dham jatra is over. People say, we went to Vrindavan, what did you see? Some bushes were there, some pigs were there, some dogs were there, some water was flowing, I just took a dip, नाक बंद किया, डाला, हो गया, बस गंगा स्नान, यमुना स्नान कर लिया, but nothing happens. Actually, our consciousness doesn't get purified from that. The real thing is, you have to go to the pure devotees residing in those places. Take lessons from them, because in their heart Krishna is residing, not accommodating, like the accommodation that we are giving in our heart. Sometimes we come to temple, we hear from something, we get inspired, we say no, Krishna is important in our life. We go back, not even some days, just go out. Our desires are so much materialistically, I have got this plans, that thing, I have to enjoy this thing, that thing. Krishna is gone, forgetful. Again, after some time, somebody says, why don't you go to temple? And this is how, and in this process of forgetting Krishna, we are eternally suffering. We are eternally fearful, our existence. But here is the solution. So go and associate with pure devotees. To go to some holy place of pilgrimage does not mean only to take a bath in Ganges or Yamuna, or to visit the temple situated in those places. One should also find representatives of Vidura who have no desire in life save and except to serve the personality of Godhead. The personality of Godhead is always with such pure devotees because of their unalloyed service, which is without any tinge of fruitive action or utopian speculation. They are in the actual service of the Lord, specifically by the process of hearing and chanting. The pure devotees hear from the authorities and chant, sing, and write the glories of the Lord. So when we hear that sleeping, dormant Krishna consciousness, that perceiving the presence of the Lord in our heart, which is not happening, happens. Because those people have that potency, because the Lord is residing. Their words carry that power that it shakes us. It wakes us up from this slumber, which we have been sleeping for a long time. Then what happened? Interestingly, from the mind of Vasudev, Krishna got transferred to Devaki's mind. Thereafter, accompanied by plenary expansions, the fully opulent Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is all auspicious for the entire universe, was transferred from the mind of Vasudev to the mind of Devaki. Devaki, having thus been initiated by Vasudeva, became beautiful by carrying Lord Krishna. Actually, this is the crux. If you are asleep, wake up and see this. If you get it, sometimes people don't really understand the importance of initiation or Diksha. We have been living a life before coming in touch with Krishna consciousness, godless. We didn't know about the presence of Krishna in our lives. We knew some Krishna, some also so many demigods, devatas, everybody we worship. We think he is also nice, he is also nice, he is also, whoever fulfills my desires, he is good. But when we come to Krishna consciousness, we understand who's Krishna, who are we, and how much we are suffering in this material world, and how compassionate that Lord is. He is waiting for us. Come back, don't suffer in this material world. That happens when we get initiated from a pure devotee. Let's see this verse very interestingly. How Devaki, having thus been initiated by Vasudeva, became beautiful by carrying Lord Krishna. A person becomes beautiful. The Lord comes in your heart, all the inauspiciousness in your heart goes away. So much of suffering, so much of difficulties, why you have to go through? Bring the Lord in your heart. Became beautiful by carrying Lord Krishna, the original consciousness for everyone, the cause of all causes, within the core of her heart, just as the east becomes beautiful by carrying the rising moon. And in the purport, this is the crux, if you can understand the significance of Vyasa Puja, Prabhupada writes, the Acharya of the contemporary times, the genius, probably in any situation, if you're not able to even remember Krishna, but if you're able to remember Prabhupada, it's as good as remembering Krishna. Here Prabhupada is writing in the purport, we should note carefully that the Lord was transferred to Devaki not by the ordinary way for a human being, but by Diksha initiation. How important is this Diksha? How significant it is in our lives. It's not so many people have been initiated, let me also join the bandwagon and get initiated from someone. Whom would you take initiation from? So and so Swamiji, who has got so many followers. 10,000 followers हैं Swamiji क्या? 10,001 बनना है? आ जाओ. Then another party is saying 20,000 followers. Indian Swamiji आपके घर में पधारेंगे, आपको blessing दे देंगे. अरे बढ़िया है तो यही तो सही है. Whom should we take initiation from? We should note carefully that the Lord was transferred to Devaki not by the ordinary way for a human being. Krishna is not some cheap thing that's anybody and everybody can promise, okay, I will give you Krishna. I need to have that authority. I need to have that power that I can give Krishna to you. Thus, the importance of initiation is mentioned here, unless it is bold, underlined, highlighted, unless one is initiated by the right person who always carries within his heart the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One cannot acquire the power to carry the Supreme Godhead within the core of one's own heart. If you are getting initiated from somebody who's ready to cheat, if you are not worried about the credential of that person, if you are not even ready to bother to find out whether in his heart he is really carrying Krishna or not, you are going to get cheated. Unless one is initiated by the right person who always carries within his heart the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot acquire the power to carry the Supreme Godhead within the core of one's own heart. One has to be extremely fortunate, very, very fortunate to find a devotee who's a pure devotee. They carry the Lord in their heart and they have the power to give it to us. This is the real purport of this initiation. If you really want Krishna to be there in your heart, if you want to feel his presence, if you want to become cognizant of his presence, you need someone who can give Krishna to you, who can make that revelation to you. And that person must carry Krishna in his heart. His heart should be a dham. He only can give. Then the next verse, it is mentioned, Devaki then kept within herself the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, the foundation of the entire cosmos. But because she was under arrest in the house of Kamsa, she was like the flames of a fire covered by the walls of a pot, or like a person who has knowledge but cannot distribute it to the world for the benefit of human society. First thing that I spoke about is the importance of Diksha. Whom should we take Diksha from? Why Diksha is important? Because if you need Krishna in your heart to become fearless in this material world, where every step there is danger, anxieties and problems, you need to have Krishna. So you need to find the right person whose heart is dham, who can give Krishna to you. In this verse it is mentioned, Devaki then kept within herself. Imagine the position, you've got Krishna within you, right? And the example which Prabhupada is saying here is Devaki then kept within herself the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes, the foundation of the entire cosmos. But because she was under arrest in the house of Kamsa, she was like the flames of a fire covered by the walls of a pot. Now, fire is meant to give light and heat. If there is fire, if I'm lighting fire here, you will feel some heat and you will feel light. But if that fire is covered with a box, right? She was like the flames of a fire covered by the walls of a pot, or like a person who has knowledge but cannot distribute it to the world for the benefit of human society. It's a very important point which Prabhupada is mentioning. What should we do when we get the knowledge from the pure devotee? We must distribute it. If we don't distribute it, what is the use of that knowledge? Knowledge is one thing. The more you distribute, the more you share, the more it increases. It's not like if I give it to you, you'll forget this knowledge. No. The more you distribute, the more you are meant to distribute. Like the fire which is supposed to give heat and light to others, but if it is boxed up, if it is there in the pot, then it is not solving the purpose. So Prabhupada writes in the purport, Devaki became the residence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is one without a second and the cause of all creation. Devaki became the residence of the Absolute Truth. But because she was within the house of Kamsa, she looked just like a suppressed fire or like misused education. When fire is covered by the walls of a pot or is kept in a jug, the illuminating rays of the fire cannot be very much appreciated. Similarly, misused knowledge which does not benefit the people in general is not very much appreciated. So Devaki was kept within the prison walls of Kamsa's palace, and no one could see her transcendental beauty which resulted from her conceiving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada goes on to tell that the Jare Dekho Tare Kaha Krishna Upades. You share this knowledge. That's the responsibility of a true disciple who has received Krishna from a pure devotee spiritual master. When Krishna comes, there is a verse in Bhagavatam. Basically it says, actually the land of Vraja became more glorified, became more wonderful because Krishna took birth here. When Krishna appears, when you give Krishna to someone, his life becomes wonderful. Similar verse is there in Kunti Maharani's prayer, where she says that where Krishna's footprints are there, that is why this place is having all the opulences. It is producing all the necessities. It is giving everything. This land is beautiful. Similarly, when the devotees put the marks of the imprints of the Lord on their body, this body which is anyway useless, it's a bag of filthy things which are packed together. Simply one covering of skin which makes it attractive. But when we put the tilak mark on different parts of our body, the body also becomes attractive. Wherever Krishna comes, Krishna, the moment he comes in our life becomes attractive and beautiful. So this is what it is saying. So we should distribute this knowledge to whomever we know. And the concluding verse of this, and then we will go for our offering. Because the Supreme Personality of Godhead was within her womb, Devaki illuminated the entire atmosphere in the place where she was confined. Seeing her jubilant, pure and smiling, Kamsa thought, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, who is now within her, will kill me. Devaki has never before looked so brilliant and jubilant. This is Kamsa. Kamsa is a demon. I told you at the beginning, I showed you some people who are inimical, who are of demoniac mentality. Just by their presence, we feel uncomfortable. We get fear in our lives. Here, Devaki is imprisoned, and he is behind the bars in the palace of Kamsa. But when the Lord appeared in her womb, Devaki illuminated the entire atmosphere in the place where she was confined. And she was jubilant, pure and smiling. And Prabhupada is saying, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, who is now within her, Kamsa is thinking that he is going to kill me. Devaki was never before looked so brilliant and jubilant. And in this last purport, with which we will close, Krishna has taken birth or taken shelter within the womb of the Krishna consciousness movement. You are looking, where can I find Krishna? Where is it Krishna appeared in Devaki's womb? Where is Krishna now? Krishna has taken birth or taken shelter within the womb of the Krishna consciousness movement. Men of Kamsa's class, therefore, are very much afraid and are busy trying to stop this movement. There are so many envious people. You make a lot of noise, you make some other sounds, you produce some filmy songs. If you sing that in a loud way, people will tolerate. They'll be happy. They will not utter a single word. Moment you chant Hare Krishna mantra, some people get anxious, they become envious, and they come and complain. They make, some noises. Why are you doing this? Actually, the names of the Lord can purify, sanctify any atmosphere, no matter how contaminated that atmosphere is. Men of Kamsa's class, therefore, are very much afraid and are busy trying to stop this movement, especially in the Western countries. One politician has remarked that the Krishna consciousness movement is spreading like an epidemic, and that if not checked immediately, within 10 years, it may capture governmental power. There is, of course, such potency in the Krishna consciousness movement, as stated by authorities in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela 17.22, Kali Kale Nama Rupe Krishna Avatar. You are looking for Krishna. How do you get Krishna in your heart? Here is the reference, Kali Kale Nama Rupe Krishna Avatar. The Lord has descended in the form of holy name in this Kali Yuga. When you chant the names of the Lord, you have no idea. Actually, the Lord is residing. The heart which is filled with contamination, where we are trying to accommodate the Lord, it will all be cleansed and it will become a permanent residence of the Lord. In this age, Krishna has appeared in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The Krishna consciousness movement is spreading like wildfire all over the world, and it will go on doing so. Men who are like Kamsa are very much afraid of the movement's progress and acceptance of the acceptance by the younger generation. But as Krishna could not be killed by Kamsa, this movement cannot be checked by men of Kamsa's class. The movement will go on increasing more and more, provided the leaders of the movement remain firmly Krishna conscious by following the regulative principles and the primary activities of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra regularly. If we are following the 4 regulative principles and chanting Hare Krishna mantra, this movement will spread. It will go on. People who are suffering in this material world will get benefited by taking this process. But the important things to keep in mind is, find the right person whose heart is actually a dham, who's carrying the Lord in his heart, because he has the power to give it to us. Otherwise, we will get cheated in this life, in this world. One last thing in this purport, actually, it is mentioned characteristics of someone who's carrying Krishna in heart. This is some characteristics of Srila Prabhupada that we can see how befitting it is when, this verse of Bhagavatam is talking about Devaki, what she was. You see someone who's carrying Krishna in his heart. What are his characteristics? There are a few words which are used. One is called Virochayan, which means illuminating. Many devotees, many disciples of Srila Prabhupada say Srila Prabhupada's height was very small, not very tall. The moment he used to enter, the first glance of Srila Prabhupada, they could see that he's a Vaikuntha man. He's a transcendental man. He was having bodily effulgence. Virochayan, illuminating. Suchi Smitam, smiling and brilliant. Suchi means purity and Smita means smiling. These are the trademark qualities of devotees. Jubilance, purity and smiling. Krishna has these qualities in full. We sing that song, in Vrindavan they sing after Mangala Arati, Samsara Davanala. Which song is that? Krishna Balaram Temple. Vivahavari says, in that there is one line which comes, Samasta Guna Gana Dhama. Samasta Guna Gana Dhama. Actually, Krishna is the residence of all the good qualities. Samasta Guna Gana Dhama. And in that purport of that verse, Prabhupada says, even the pure devotees of the Lord carry all the good qualities inside them. So in this rare human form of life, where we have been struggling, where we have been going through anxieties, where we have been going through so many difficulties and challenges, day in and day out, living a life of fear. Okay, that song comes in that movie, what is that? 3 Idiots. There is a song which comes, which says, Mar Mar Ke Ji Liye. What is that? No. You're all, you should know. Of course, you should not. That's good you don't know. Sari umr bhar, mar ke ji liye. So we lived life like that. Mar ke. I mean, the movie doesn't give solution. All is well is not going to work. It never works. It just psychologically you can psych yourself up for some temporary thing that, okay, everything is all right in my life. No, but the reality when it hits hard. Where do you go for rescue? Where do you go for shelter? Where do you go for respite? Here is a solution. Here is, invoke Krishna in your heart. When Krishna appears in the heart, all these contaminations go away. Your body becomes bright, effulgent, like it happened in the case of Vasudeva and Devaki, all in one becomes Abhayankara, fearless, and all this is possible provided one gives, takes initiation from a pure devotee spiritual master. It is not some joke, it is not some cheap thing. The person who is giving initiation should have that potency, should have that power. Because Prabhupada is saying that heart of that devotee should be a resident of the Lord, because only when it is the resident of the Lord that he can give it to someone. So we are in this rare human form of life, wandering through so many universes and so many lifetimes. Very, very fortunate that we have come in touch with the pure devotee spiritual master. Very fortunate, extremely fortunate. In your life, if somebody asks, usually I used to, when I was studying in my engineering days, we used to have discussion when we will have grandchildren. Those days we used to think when we will have grandchildren, we would say, what are our proud achievements? Somebody would say, I lived in US for 6 years. Somebody said, I got residency in US, green card, then residency. I went to, what is that, Paris Tower of Eiffel Tower, or I went somewhere, whatever. I did all of this. I went and saw all the 7 wonders of life. These are all my proud achievements. Old man, you are sitting, grandchildren are sitting next to you, you are in that rocking chair, some drinking. My beta, my 7 wonder dekha life, man. I went to this, I lived in US, I did all these things. Grandchildren, acha, so nice, your grandfather, you did so many things like that, they'll think. But actually the real achievement, you might not have gone and seen the 7 wonders. You might not have even stepped outside your house. But if you have met a pure devotee spiritual master, if you have been initiated by him, Krishna will be there in your heart. That is the most important day of his appearance today. Actually, forgetful souls like us who are suffering eternally, this is the only hope. You will never get cheated. Krishna will not cheat you. Krishna, when he says, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja ham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayasami ma sucha, he means it. It's not like some cheap people who say and then they don't even mean it. This is Krishna's words. That same Krishna can manifest in our heart provided we receive the initiation Diksha from a pure devotee who's carrying the Lord in his heart. That is the sum and substance of today's festival. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Prabhupada Vyasa Puja Maha Mahotsav ki, Nitai Gaur Premanande. So we'll have some offerings by the devotees on Vyasa Puja. Vyasa Puja is an occasion where also we glorify the pure devotee spiritual master. Actually, we can never repay the debts that we have for our spiritual master. You may try repaying the debts of your father and mother by doing something, giving them back, taking care of them, taking care of their health or something like that. You may think you may be able to do it. That is also difficult, but you may achieve it. But repaying the debt of the debt of a spiritual master, impossible. Because it is mentioned in Shastras, we take 2 births. One from the womb of our mother, which is given, which all of us have gotten. But there is another birth which happens when we accept a pure devotee spiritual master as our guru. Then the scriptures become mother and the spiritual master becomes father. That birth is Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya. Living the life in this tamo, in this ignorant material world, full of darkness. Om Ajnana Timira Andhasya. So in the ignorance where we were soaked, absorbed in that, somebody comes and opens our eyes with the Jnananjana Shalakaya. Imagine a person who is blind from birth. Somehow or other, if a doctor does some surgery and with Salaka is actually an instrument which the Ayurveda surgeon uses for doing surgery, he removes the cataract or the blindness or whatever it is of the eyes and the vision becomes opened. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Nama. To that Guru, to that spiritual master, I eternally bow down. I offer my respectful obeisances. It's a wonderful life. It's an invitation for people who are suffering. Still they don't want to come. नहीं अरे suffering में मजा है प्रभु, इधर ही तो मजा है, इधर मार खाया, फिर भी मैं बुद्धि आया नहीं, अभी और एक दूसरा ट्राई कर रहा हूँ, इधर अभी जॉब मिल नहीं रहा है, कुछ प्रॉब्लम्स है, ये है वो है, पैच वर्क करके इधर से निकल जाऊंगा मैं, ऐसे कॉर्नर लेके उधर जाने से हो जाएगा लाइफ. And we continue doing this the whole life. Life goes away in this. Come and enjoy. If you really want to enjoy, you want to understand what is happiness, take shelter of a pure devotee spiritual master, invite Krishna in your life, and see how life is so wonderful. Instead of leading a life which is filled with falsity and lies and this thing, somehow pretending that I am happy in life, live a life which is truly blissful. This is what jubilant, smiling, and blissful are the characteristics of a person who is having Krishna in his heart. This is an invitation to you. So now I'll request, we have this wonderful Vyasa Puja. It's a great occasion. If you can just glorify the Lord, what we can glorify. If a dwarf is trying to reach to the moon, not just trying to reach this ceiling, he's trying to reach the moon. How many of you think the dwarf will be able to do it? Dwarf will be able to reach the moon? Yeah, you. Dwarf. How? You know what's a dwarf? They don't grow in heights. Small dwarfs, right? Yeah. And he's jumping. Imagine a kid who's jumping and he's trying. Why are you jumping? I will reach the moon. How will you reach the moon? You can't reach even here, right? Similarly, if we try to glorify a pure devotee spiritual master, what can we glorify? What do we know about his contribution, his offering, his compassion? It is nothing. But still it is good for us. We should do that at least once a year. We sing this song in the morning, Samsara Davanala. The last line of that is, what is that? Ghusuk Tribhuvana, no, not Samsara Davanala, or Guru Puja. Ebejas Ghusuk Tribhuvana. No, sorry. Where is the Trisandhya in Samsara? Last line, what is that? Last Dhyayam Stuvam Stasya Yasas Trisandhyam. At least 3 times in the day we should remember the spiritual master. That anyway we don't do, but this is an occasion on the appearance day, his birthday. We celebrate this as Vyasa Puja and we glorify the pure devotee spiritual master. In our life, whatever transformation has little happened, you can hear other devotees' realizations and get inspired from this. So I would like to invite the devotees, in what order? You decide? Yeah. We will first offer this book to Srila Prabhupada and then I'll call some devotees. You have to come quickly. You can get up and be ready. When your name is called, you please come and you can read your offerings. Srila Prabhupada Vyasa Puja Mahamotsav ki Nitai Gaur Premanande.
Hare Krishna. Yes. So this is the glorious 126th appearance day of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. As we have just heard from Sadananda Prabhu, the importance of having a pure devotee in life. Pure devotees carry the Lord in their hearts. And Srila Prabhupada is a pure devotee who has transformed the lives of millions of people all over the world and is also transforming even now. So, on this very auspicious occasion, to glorify the spiritual master is to glorify the Supreme Lord, because whatever the glorification the spiritual master receives, he offers it back to the Supreme Lord. In fact, the Lord is very much pleased when one offers respect to his pure devotee, when one glorifies the pure devotee. So this is a very wonderful occasion. I would like to say that you're all very, very fortunate to be here, because yesterday we saw there were like 10, 20, 30 times more than what we have now. So just like there's a festival and a festival and a festival, but not each festival has the same amount of people who can come in. This is even more special festival, and therefore we see there are only few more people. But as we start now, I will request the devotees to come in order, offer flowers to Srila Prabhupada, and then read their offerings. So every year, devotees write their offerings. So Vyasa Puja offering. So this is the day where devotees try to glorify the spiritual master. Actually, there's no way one can glorify sufficiently. But as Sadananda Prabhu just mentioned, that glorification purifies us. And so there are about 60 offerings that the devotees at the IHF Boston, India Heritage Foundation Boston, have offered this year. I request all the devotees who are here, who have not written this year, to make sure that they write the next year. This is a wonderful opportunity, because when we make an attempt to understand and glorify the pure devotee of the Lord, although we are incapable, by the mercy of the spiritual master and the Lord, we can glorify with little broken words. But that glorification, simply hearing, can also transform us. So we will start. So maybe before we start, I'll just read the meaning of Vyasa Puja. The spiritual master is the representative of Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva is the original spiritual master because he compiled and disseminated Vedic knowledge. Therefore, according to the Vedic system, on the birthday of the spiritual master, Jai Shri Shri Gaurnitai ki, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Chandra Bhagwan ki, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki. Therefore, according to the Vedic system, on the birthday of the spiritual master, the disciples conduct the ceremony called Vyasa Puja. As part of the Vyasa Puja ceremony, the disciples and followers of Srila Prabhupada offer homage to him by writing about his glories. Hearing the glories of the bona fide spiritual master has the same effect as hearing the glories of Lord Krishna. The hearer becomes purified and awakens his dormant Krishna consciousness. This book is the compilation of the glorification of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada by his devotees on the occasion of his 126th Vyasa Puja. So, as we see here, again it's mentioned that hearing the glories of the bona fide spiritual master has the same effect as hearing the glories of Lord Krishna. The hearer becomes purified and awakens his dormant Krishna consciousness. So, with that introduction to Vyasa Puja, I will call upon Akhilashraya Prabhu. Hari Bol. So next is Badrinayan Prabhu, and after that Balram Anuj Prabhu. So you can offer the flowers before the speaker ends so that we can save some time.
Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisance. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. I am eternally indebted to you for transforming my life from animalistic to divine life. I was at crossroads when the material life has completely overpowered and I was totally in ignorance. I was serving my senses whatever desired. After coming in touch with your mission to awaken the sleeping soul like me, I started to understand the true purpose of life. After coming in touch with you, I started to understand all the Vedic rituals performed that otherwise were performed ritually. I have no taste for the chanting of the holy name. However, with golden commands and directions to chant and hear, I can feel the difference in chanting quality. We recently had a Mayapur Dham darshan. Because of your desire to build world-class temples all over the world, we got the opportunity to meet nice devotees and rejuvenate. Though you are not present physically in your Vani association through the books and regular devotee association, we are able to experience your transcendental presence. I am very fortunate to get various service opportunity by your grace. If you so desire, please keep us under your shelter. Your sincere servant, Akhilesh Das. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you on this auspicious day of your Vyasa Puja. Brahmanda Brahmide Kona Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasadai Pai Bhakti Lata Bij CC Madhya Leela Text 151. According to their karma, all living entities are wandering throughout the entire universe. Some of them are being elevated to the upper planetary systems and some are going down into the lower planetary system. After many millions of wandering living entities, one who is very fortunate gets an opportunity to associate with a bona fide spiritual master by the grace of Krishna. By the mercy of both Krishna and the spiritual master, such a person receives the seed of the creeper of devotional service. Srila Prabhupada, it is your mercy that the fallen soul like me gets the opportunity to know the loophole of this material world. And it is your instruction that guides us to cross over the cycle of birth and death. Just to understand that this material world is not a place of our residence requires your mercy. But I am so fallen that I do not take it seriously and it looks very familiar to me. Let me count a few of the unlimited blessings which you are pouring on us. Srila Prabhupada, you have blessed us with a strong morning program of sadhana, chanting and Srimad Bhagavatam class which reminds us of this material world is not all in all. There is a way ahead. Srila Prabhupada, thanks for blessing us with this institution for serving Krishna, the devotees association, which is rare in this world. Srila Prabhupada, thanks for providing us with great literature that describes the transcendental world and the personal nature of absolute truth. Srila Prabhupada, thanks for providing us the transcendental prasadam, which is not only tasty but frees us from bondage. Shri Vigrahara, Dhananityanana, Shingaratan, Mandira, Marjanado, Yuktasya Bhaktamscha Niyunjatopi, Vande Guru Shri Charanarabinda. The spiritual master is always engaged in the temple worship of Shri Shri Radha and Krishna. He also engages his disciples in such worship. They dress the deities in beautiful clothes and ornaments, clean their temples, and perform other similar worship of the Lord. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of such a spiritual master. On this auspicious day, I pray at your lotus feet to please always keep me under your shelter. Your humble servant, Badri Narayana Dasa.
After this, Bhagavad Tattva Prabhu and then Hari Gopal Prabhu.
Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances at your divine lotus feet on this auspicious day of your divine appearance. All glories to your divine grace. It is under the order of Lord Chaitanya that Krishna Katha should be spread all over the world, because if the conditioned souls suffering under the pangs of material existence take to Krishna Katha, then their path of liberation will be open and clear. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, introduction. It is therefore the duty of all your disciples to spend every ounce of their energy in spreading Krishna Katha all over the world. As a conditioned soul, when I consider the implication of this and compare it to the insignificant energy that I grudgingly dedicate towards this mission, there is a beginning of dim awareness of your transcendental glories. I begin to see how my feeble, grudging efforts in serving this order of Lord Chaitanya are like a glowworm in the daylight of your glorious efforts. And yet, by your unfathomable mercy, you continue to give me repeated chances to serve, despite my lack of the primary qualification, unbridled enthusiasm. When I read your books, your costless compassion for the reader, and in particular, even your grudgingly surrendering unworthy householder disciples becomes abundantly clear. You are a father who holds the hand of his young child gently but firmly while crossing a high traffic road. Dear Srila Prabhupada, it is my fervent prayer to you that kindly do not let go of my hand, no matter how much I wiggle and jiggle, no matter how much I am distracted, for as an eternally conditioned soul, I have spent millions and millions of lifetimes in various species of life, including so-called human life, but leading a life of a polished animal. The more time I spend under the grasp of your mercy, the more I am convinced of just how fortunate we are to receive the shelter of your lotus feet. But this conviction doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of exactly how fortunate we are. In quotes, when we speak of Brahmanda, we refer to the whole universe or to the cluster of many millions of universes. In all universes, there are innumerable planets and innumerable living entities upon those planets, in the air and in the water. There are millions and trillions of living entities everywhere, and they are engaged in Maya, in suffering and enjoying the results of their fruitive activities life after life. This is the position of the materially conditioned living entities. Out of many of these living entities, if one is actually fortunate, Bhagyavan, he comes in contact with the bona fide spiritual master by Krishna's mercy. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, 19.151, purport. With a feeling of deep gratitude for your causeless mercy, I pray at your lotus feet to kindly allow me to eternally remain in your service, your insignificant fallen servant, Balaraman Das.
Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humbly offered obeisances. All glories to you on this auspicious day of your Vyasa Puja. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pachachya Desatarine. It is said in the Shveta Upanishad 6.23, Yasya Deve Para Bhaktir Yatha Deve Tatha Guru Tasaite Katheta Hi Atehi Prakasante Mahatmanaha. Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of the Vedic knowledge automatically received. As mentioned in the scriptures, one should understand the spiritual master to be as good as God Himself. Your books are the guiding light and hope for this materially afflicted world, and through your books only I could take shelter at your lotus feet. In this maddening material world, you have given us the process to experience complete spiritual joy while practicing Krishna consciousness and sharing this happiness with the world during these testing times of pandemic and war. You have given us the sweetness of the holy names of the Lord to immerse daily, and you have given us the mercy flowing through the lineage of disciplic succession. You have established the holy pilgrimage places, dhams, all over the world for our benefit. I recently visited places that were established by you in North America, like Gita Nagari, New Vrindavan. These places are far away from Vrindavan and Mayapur in India, yet get the same spiritual upliftment when we visit these places. I was in the palace of gold dedicated to you by your disciples, and I was unable to hold tears thinking about all the material suffering you have gone through to connect Krishna in our lives. I was also moved by the reverence and dedication of the neophyte devotees taken on them to learn the skills and build such a palace dedicated to you. I was baffled by your spiritual vision and compassion for the materially afflicted human race across the world shown by you. As mentioned in Guru Vandana, our spiritual master is the ocean of mercy, the friend of the poor, and the Lord and master of the devotees. O Master, be merciful unto me. Give me the shade of your lotus feet. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. Sri Guru Vandana, verse 4. I pray to be constantly absorbed and take shelter of these incomparable gifts given by you to us. I pray that unavoidable issues that confront me will not distract me from keeping me in your shelter. On this most auspicious day, I am praying you to give me spiritual strength and determination to cultivate offenseless chanting, regular book reading, and begging to remain always under the shelter of your lotus feet, serve your mission. Your humble servant. Hari Bol.
My dearest Srila Prabhupada, please accept my wholehearted obeisances in the dust of your lotus feet. All glories to your unprecedented service, to your Guru Maharaj and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement. Indeed, you single-handedly founded and nourished a branch of the tree of pure devotional service planted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, a branch that is still growing despite the efforts of some to choke it with the poison of dissension. On this 126th anniversary of your glorious appearance in this world, I offer your own translation and purport to you, as a worshipper of Mother Ganges offers a palmful of her own waters to satisfy her. Translation. A devotee's behavior establishes the true purpose of religious principles. The behavior of Mahadvendra Puri Goswami is the essence of such religious principles. Purport. A sadhu or honest man is called a Mahajan or a Mahatma. The Mahatma is described thus by Lord Shri Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, 13th verse. O son of Pratha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. Srila Prabhupada, in a moment of intimacy, once you shared with one of your disciples the reason of your appearance. You were sitting in the quarantine hall at Bombay airport after arriving from Africa. Immigration officials had denied entry because your servant had forgotten your yellow fever vaccination card. I did not, Prabhupada says here, I did not want to come to this nasty place, you commented. Your servant fervently apologized for his mistake, but you clarified your meaning. I do not mean Bombay, I mean this material world. I did not want to come to this place. It is a horrible place. When Krishna asked me to come, I said, no, I don't want to go. But Krishna said, no, please go. Don't worry. You go down and write these books. I will take care of everything. So, on his order and with his assurance of protection, you came and expanded his name and fame throughout this planet. Having accomplished this feat, which is unparalleled in the history of Gauriya Vaishnavism, Lord Krishna made you famous throughout the three worlds. Ebe Jash Ghushuk Tribhuvana. Your fame is spread all over the three worlds. Srila Prabhupada, you told Guru Das Prabhu in London in 1972, one day scholars will note how this movement saved the world in its darkest hour. My dear spiritual master, please allow us to expand upon your prophecy. One day scholars will note how you, Srila Prabhupada, saved this world in its darkest hour. For this great movement, which is non-different from you yourself. Srila Prabhupada, I am always in awe that somehow or the other I was swept in the great tidal wave of your causeless mercy created by you in your preaching movement. Dear Srila Prabhupada, you are our Mahajan, the founder Acharya of International Society of Krishna Consciousness. As your disciples and followers, our duty is to follow you and not imitate you. In one of the lectures, Prabhupada mentions, I must be friendly, poet, and expert, and silent worker, not advertising myself, silent. These are the qualifications of Vaishnava. So we must try to follow and not imitate you, but follow. That is nice. On this occasion, I pray to you, Srila Prabhupada, to please grant us the service at your lotus feet, so that by serving you, we may be able to make rapid progress in our endeavors in spiritual life. The devotees of the Lord are very, very dear to Sri Krishna and Srila Prabhupada. You are especially dear to him, and grabbing hold of your lotus feet is the best way for us to reach the spiritual destination. Therefore, we pray to you with folded hands. Prati janma kori asha chanire radhuri. I desire the dust of your lotus feet in every birth I take. Your eternal servant, Hari Gopal Das.
My dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to you and the lordships of Nitai Gauranga. I am very grateful to you for transforming my material life to a spiritual platform. Sakshat dharitvena samast shastrair uktas tatha bhavat eva sad shabdhi sadbhi kintu prabhor yaha priya eva tasya vande guru shri charanarvindam. In these revealed scriptures, it is declared that the spiritual master should be worshipped
like the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this injunction is obeyed by pure devotees of the Lord. The spiritual master is the most confidential servant of the Lord. Thus, let us offer our respectful obeisances, respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of our spiritual master. Whenever I am in duality, I remember you, and always you show me the right path. You taught to use the free will of Jiva by applying the intelligence. It is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, 17th chapter and 27th verse, Lord Krishna himself described about the spiritual master as Acharyam Mam Vijnaniyam Na Vamab At Karhichit Nam Mat Namataya Buddhaya Chita Sarva Dev Maho Guruhu. One should understand the spiritual master to be as good as I am. Said the blessed Lord, nobody should be jealous of the spiritual master or think of him as an ordinary man, because the spiritual master is the sum total of all demigods. Srila Prabhupada always explains about the bhakti. Bhakti means love of God, or as Srila Prabhupada would often translate the word, pure devotional service to God. The Sanskrit root of word bhakti is bhaja, which means loving service. Bhakti is the essence of the eternal relationship we should have with Krishna. In material existence, our bhakti is covered by our material consciousness and misdirected away from Krishna and toward the temporary things of this world. Therefore, we are never fully satisfied. We can awaken our natural bhakti by practicing bhakti. In other words, we can awaken our love for Krishna by performing acts of love for him. Since yoga means the connection, the process by which we connect with Krishna through acts of love is called Bhakti Yoga. If anyone understands the spiritual master as the same as God and serves him according to his instructions, he should be considered as liberated. This is our responsibility to serve with sincerity and love to the spiritual master. After becoming myself as disciple of Srila Prabhupada, my life is completely transformed. I am always trying to follow the footsteps of and instructions of Srila Prabhupada and his servants. I beg the mercy of Srila Prabhupada to keep me under his shelter so that I may practice my spiritual life undisturbed. Your menial servant, Jagannath Tirthadas.
Dear Srila Prabhupada, Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshatarine. Please accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet. All glories to you, Srila Prabhupada. I recently was fortunate to interact with some devotees outside of India and USA. I was amazed to see how so many young and old, black and white, have all taken up Krishna consciousness and practicing it seriously. You have touched lives and given the holy name to so many devotees even after 50 years of your disappearance. It is simply not possible to do any of this without your gracious presence. I realize there's so much to do, so many possibilities to touch and give the holy names to living entities. I pray at your lotus feet to bless me so that I can be a soldier in your army that is spreading the Chaitanya movement. The ICVK wing of IHF Boston continues to take baby steps to reach out to the community. Surely by your blessings and mercy, we will be able to reach out to more families and be able to spread the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to many more souls in the next year. I have so many impurities that sometimes I wonder if I will ever be able to overcome them. You have given such a simple formula for cleansing the heart of impurities by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. However, due to the past conditioning that is so deep, I find it difficult to overcome my anarthas. I pray for your causeless mercy on the most unqualified soul. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasado, yasya prasada nagati kutopi, dhyayam stuvam sasya yashastri sandhyam, vande guru shri charanavrindam. By satisfaction of the spiritual master, the supreme personality of Godhead becomes satisfied. And by not satisfying the spiritual master, there is no chance of being promoted to the planet of Krishna consciousness. I pray for your causeless mercy to engage me in your service and satisfy you. Your insignificant fallen servant, Palini Devi Dasi.
Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories unto you on this auspicious occasion of your divine appearance. Kali divides to conquer, but you built a house where the whole world can unite to defeat Kali. Kali propels quarrel, but you unravel the peace formula that Krishna is the only enjoyer. Kali coerces to defy authority, but you establish the supreme authority with absolute authority. Kali makes everyone a false master, but you showed who the absolute master is and led everyone to be a real servant. Kali brings misfortune, but you bestowed the most incredible fortune, the touchstone of the holy name. Kali deceives form for substance, but you guided everyone to distinguish the reality from illusion by submission to the absolute truth. Maharaj Parikshit chastised Kali to save the cow and the bull, but you ambushed Kali with your western conquest to save the world. In this age of hypocrisy, crossing the mire of illusion and delusion appears a distant expectation. My only hope is to hold on to your mercy with anticipation. Your aspiring servant, Pandurang Gopal Das.
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitanamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Dear Srila Prabhupada, you are the ocean of causeless mercy, the pastime of transcendental ecstasy. You came to this world upon your own will, just to carry on the mission of the Supreme Lord. No one can be more fortunate than myself because of being initiated by your divine self. Although I am the most unqualified, fallen, out of your magnanimity and divine potency, you have given me the process of purification by pouring upon me the nectar of Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan in the form of devotional service. How rare personalities like you are. They come and go just like the lightning in the sky. Oh dear beloved Gurudev Srila Prabhupada, I offer my unlimited obeisances because you have established love of Godhead within this present world where people are simply interested only in sense gratification. Being fully absorbed in gross sense gratification, they have missed your nectar-like presence. How unfortunate they are. Therefore, our prayer is that you please give us enough strength to be instruments in your hands to distribute the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which we have received through you causelessly, to save these fallen conditioned souls. Without your mercy, people struggling with the threefold miseries of life cannot be relieved from the clutches of Maya. We therefore hope that you will permit us to take a shelter of a dust particle from your lotus feet, and thus carry on this preaching movement of the preaching of the Sankirtan movement, which you have established in this world for saving the most fallen conditioned souls. We hope you will allow us to fulfill your desires. Without your grace, no one can have the chance of going back home, back to Godhead. It's a very interesting verse from Bhagavatam, which says, Bhavapa Vargo Brahmato Yada Bhavet Janasya Tarhi Achyuta Tat Samagamaha Satsangamo Yarhi Tadeva Sadgato Paravareshe Tvai Jayate Matihi. The meaning of this verse is, O my Lord, O infallible Supreme Person, when a person wandering throughout the universe becomes eligible for liberation from material existence, he gets an opportunity to associate with devotees. When he associates with devotees, his attraction for you is awakened. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the highest goal of the Supreme Devotees, and the Lord of the universe. The value of a moment's association with the pure devotee of the Lord cannot even be compared to the attainment of heavenly planets or liberation from matter, then what to speak of worldly benedictions in the form of material prosperity, which is for those who are meant for death. You are the Satyavesha avatar of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. Without being empowered by the Lord, who can preach Krishna consciousness worldwide? O spiritual master, we therefore pray that you engage us constantly in the thoughts of your lotus feet and your instructions. Unfortunately, we are so much fallen and wretched that our mind always runs towards material sense objects, thereby rejecting devotional service. And we are constantly kicked from one body to another, from one planet to another. And in this way, we are simply rotting in this material world from time immemorial. Now, only by your mercy can we come out of this rotting situation. O beloved Gurudev, you have given us the mission of carrying on the Sankirtan movement of Lord Chaitanya in Boston, Massachusetts. But we are afraid that it may not be possible to execute it without being fully empowered by the dust of your lotus feet. We pray unto the lotus feet of all Vaishnavas to give us enough strength so that we can remain as your sincere servants, life after life, within the compound of devotional service, following the four regulative principles and chanting Hare Krishna mantra. Gurudev, please reveal yourself to us through your instruction, enabling us to carry on your unlimited desires, life after life. Once again, we fall unlimited times prostrated at your lotus feet, and we hope that you will empower us to preach the message of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in every nook and corner of Massachusetts out of your causeless mercy. As our final humble prayer at the dust of your divine lotus feet on this most auspicious day of your appearance, let us take your divine grace's own words, which you wrote for your own spiritual master. Quote, Personally, I have no hope for any direct service for the coming crores of birth of the sojourns of my life, but I am confident that someday or other I shall be delivered from this mire of delusion in which I am at present so deeply sunk. Therefore, let me with all my earnestness pray at the lotus feet of my divine master to allow me to suffer the lot for which I am destined due to my past misdoings, but to let me have this power of recollection that I am nothing but a tiny servant of the Almighty Absolute Godhead, realized through the unflinching mercy of my divine master. Let me therefore bow down at his lotus feet with all the humility at my command, aspiring to be your servant, Sadananda Das. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Dear Sorry, Mataji. Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances on the most auspicious day of your divine appearance. All glories to your divine grace. I am grateful to the mercy you have been bestowing on me and showing me on the path to Krishna consciousness. With your mercy, I got my first initiation in July 2021. I'm trying to dovetail all of my resources towards the Lord's services, and I always got amazed at the reciprocation that I receive, especially the authenticity of Mahaprasadam, despite being an ignorant person like me making it. Gurudeva, as it is mentioned in the 9 stages of Bhakti Yoga, Adho Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anardha Nivrutti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava and Prema. I've been chanting early in the morning and enjoying the experience, but I also feel I need to add more lovingness and concentration to this enlightening practice. Sukirti Kesava Prabhu, Ishika and Saika have been associating with devotees as much as we can. I think we are not utilizing the opportunity to the best of our ability, Gurudeva. I also have been helping with cooking and other services as they are assigned to me. I think that I can contribute more. Please bless me with more service opportunities, sincerity, dedication and proper consciousness to serve more. I also feel like I have a lot of anarthas in my heart. Please help to get rid of them so that pure love for the Lord can manifest. Gurudeva, you declared that you are going to live in your books forever. Please give me the dedication to utilize it. I've been reading your Leelamrita, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. I feel like I'm not doing enough and I still need to spend more time reading and understanding your literature. Gurudeva, my goals for this year are to chant with more concentration and attentiveness, contribute more towards the devotional services and book reading, and try to reduce the anarthas in my heart. On this auspicious occasion, I beg for your mercy to give me more inspiration, intelligence, and determination to achieve my goals and serve your grace and the Lord to the best of my abilities. Please give me spiritual strength and confidence to overcome the materialistic difficulties and stay on the path to follow your instructions. Please accept me as your humble servant. Bless me with constant devotee association and services of the Lord. All glories to spiritual master Srila Prabhupada. Please accept me at your lotus feet. Your aspiring humble servant Srinidhi Priya Devdasi.
Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to you on this auspicious day of Vyasa Puja. Yet another year has passed under the transcendental shower of your causeless mercy. The transcendental shower that cools the scorching heat of miseries of this material world where there is danger at every step. Under such circumstances, in every step of life, can see your mercy flowing causelessly. The process you have taught it so practical and sublime that any sane man can practice and experience the genuine of it, leading to ultimate perfection. The process of initiation, not an ordinary gift. I might have taken millions and millions of lives to come in touch with you. It's such a great blessing given by you by accepting this fallen soul as your disciple. Could see the difference in terms of progressing in this journey. Dham Yatras in the association of devotees. Can see the devotees' efforts to please you by giving us an opportunity to visit dhams in their association. Recently visited New Vrindavan Dham and was fortunate to visit some of the places where you have stayed and can witness the efforts of your dear devotees. Reading, chanting, worshipping deities, several service opportunities, ICVK, kirtans, cooking, prasadam, festival celebrations, and so on. So many blessings you are showering on the fallen conditioned souls like me through the devotees. Your assurance that I am ready to come back from Goloka Vrindavana if my disciples are not delivered shows your compassion for all your disciples. On this auspicious day, I am sincerely begging you to please forgive all my offenses and please keep us under your shelter and bless us with your personal service. Your humble servant, Sudevi Priya Devidasi.
My dear Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances at the dust of your divine lotus feet. All glories to your divine grace. Last year marks a big milestone in my material existence, transforming into a spiritual journey as your disciple. I am fortunate to be part of a great big family and an organization founded by your grace. The science of foundation, principles and regulations, methods and procedures, devotees and temple establishments, services and prasadam, and many more are well planned, designed, organized, and established by your Highness with incredible foresight way into the future. The path you paved towards going back to home, back to Godhead, became a directive for people aspiring on the journey of devotional service, Bhakti Yoga. I am one of those unfortunate souls struggling in the material world and completely submerged in the darkness, covered with ignorance. I am forever a servant of you, for pulling me out and showing me light by accepting me under your wing. As you already know, I am honored to be accepted as your student with the name Sukirti Kesavadas. As mentioned in Bhagavad Gita 4.34, Tadviddi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. I clearly understand the necessity of the spiritual master who is learned in the Vedas and firmly devoted to the absolute truth to learn transcendental science. I aspire to be in your service for the rest of my life and be in the association of you through your devotees. I am inspired by you and the devotees to bring this Bhakti Yoga process to other unfortunate souls. And I am motivated to be your instrument to convey the message of Lord Chaitanya Deva. With the mercy of you as my Guru Maharaj, I am more confident to be able to continue the spiritual journey and maintain my sadhana by following the regulative principles and continue to grow gradually in the formula of ABCD, association of devotees, book reading and distribution, chanting and Hare Krishna mantra, chanting of Hare Krishna mantra, and devotional service. With your causeless mercy, I made progress on all the fronts of ABCD. I take immense pleasure to please you by enthusiastically participating in skits for the festivals and by competing with my god brothers and sisters in book distribution marathon. This year, I am tasked with the year-long book distribution initiative. I need your kindness and guidance to be creative in this front and be part of your service. I continue to read your books and do realize the importance of the small books that you have written and how they can help to spread your message to different types of people who are still struggling in the material world without the right direction. I am understanding the 10 offenses to the holy name and started making improvements to avoid them. I am still struggling with my extremely fickle and stubborn mind of mine. As the Lord said, and you explained, Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyati. It is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. I will continue to realize and put the teaching into practice. In the devotional service front, I am completely convinced of your reciprocation in the number of service opportunities being available as we are building a temple with your blessings. Without knowing the duration of the COVID situation, 2.5 years flew by in the service of Guru and Gauranga. We continued to do festivals and temple activities during this time. My family and I were able to attend all the festivals and were able to participate in different services for the pleasure of Guru, Gauranga, and devotees. O my spiritual master, I humbly beg for your mercy to be at your lotus feet and be of service. Please forgive me for my misgivings and mistakes. Please help me with my struggles of anger and frustration as I build my patience and tolerance. You are the epitome of following your spiritual master's order of preaching Krishna consciousness to the Westerners. Please give me the strength to do my part to follow your spiritual master's order, to follow my spiritual master's order, to share the knowledge you allow me to share, distribute your books, and build Krishna consciousness in Westerners. Lastly, my humble obeisances unto you for accepting me as a disciple, your insignificant servant, Sukirti Kesavadasa.
Dear Srila Prabhupada, please accept my humble obeisances unto your divine lotus feet. All glories to your divine grace. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the extremely merciful form of Lord Krishna, advented over 500 years ago and blessed this planet with his nectarian teachings on the importance of awakening our love for Krishna with the Mahamantra. Later, the glorious Goswamis of Vrindavan, headed by Sri Rupa and Sanatana, spread the glories of Lord Gauranga's teachings by expertly authoring numerous transcendental literature that enunciated the glories of Krishna Bhakti. They also discovered the pastime places of the Lord and constructed iconic temples in Vrindavan for Lord Krishna. Subsequently, the illustrious acharyas like Srinivas Acharya, Narottam Das Thakur, Shyamananda Prabhu, and Ramachandra Kaviraj affectionately revealed Mahaprabhu's message to the conditioned souls by conducting festivals, holding Sankirtana, installing deities, and distributing prasadam. The disciplic succession continued this way, wherein every subsequent acharya made incalculable contributions to the growth of the Chaitanya tree. Upon the order of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, your divine grace sacrificed the most spiritually luxurious ambience of Sri Vrindavan Dham and went to the west. You landed in Boston and very soon enacted your inconceivable pastimes of ripping off material attachments of thousands of conditioned souls and inspiring them to develop an attachment to the service of Lord Krishna. Lord Narasimhadev ripped off Hiranyakashipu and his demonic associates and protected his devotee. Likewise, through your transcendental Bhaktivedanta purports, you have been ripping off countless Hiranyakashipu-like demons who torment the minds of the conditioned souls in the form of material desires and personal motives that prevent them from developing pure devotion to Shri Krishna. O Master, you withstood several challenges, difficulties, severe health issues, hurdles, and impediments that tried to block and slow down the growth of your magnificent mission. You exhibited the zenith of perseverance, tolerance, and determination in your service to Lord Chaitanya's movement. Even now, you are guiding millions of souls by enlightening them with Krishna Tattva and Bhakti Rasa. How can a sane person ever deny to accept your mercy? Srila Narottam Das Thakur says in a song, Gaurangera Sangi Gane Nitya Siddha Kori Mane Sejaya Prajendra Sota Pasha. Simply by understanding that the associates of Lord Gauranga are eternally free from material contamination, one can immediately be promoted to the transcendental abode of Lord Krishna. O Lord and Master of the devotees, through your mercy, we have the greatest opportunity to connect with the previous acharyas, the eternal associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and be a part of a transcendental family. Being sublimely intoxicated by their teachings, you have so mercifully given us a chance to know their glories and develop an attraction towards them. If it wasn't for you, we wonder how so many rebellious souls could have developed an appreciation for the previous acharyas. Without your mercy, we would have been totally bereft of the knowledge that even now the previous acharyas very affectionately reciprocate by infusing nitya bhaddhas with transcendental realizations. They even grossly reciprocate by guiding us to their samadhis and bhajan kutirs, by allowing us to honor their prasadam garlands and mahaprasadam. O friend of the poor, somehow or other, by your transcendental will, you have given me an opportunity this year to serve your preaching mission in the West in Boston. I feel utterly unworthy and disqualified to serve this task. I repeatedly beg for your mercy so that I may be able to serve this assignment with exceptional enthusiasm, determination, and sober-mindedness. In a letter you write, a real Krishna-conscious person can adjust things nicely even in hell. A fully Krishna-conscious person is always in transcendental position and is not afraid of any place which is so-called unfit for human habitation. A Krishna-conscious person is always satisfied, whether in Vaikuntha or in hell. His satisfaction is not the particular place, but his sincere service attitude towards Krishna. Letter to Gargamuni. Srila Prabhupada, kindly bestow your blessings on me so that my heart may always be inspired and illuminated by your transcendental knowledge, and my thoughts, intentions, and actions may be surcharged by your pristine teachings. I may always be satisfied wherever I am as long as I am engaged in thoroughly serving your instructions, and may your teachings become permanent residents of my mind. Your unworthy servant, Vishnu Duttadas.
Hare Krishna devotees. Unfortunately, because of lack of time, we are not able to accommodate all the devotees to offer their readings. Next, we are going to have Arati for Srila Prabhupada. I request all of you to stand and be part of this Arati. And after this, there is a Mahaprasadam feast.
जय प्रभुपदा 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 जय प्रभुपदा
जय प्रभुपदा प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा
जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद
जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 प्रभुपाद
संसार दावा नलिरलोका जनय कारुण्या घना घनात्वं
संसार दावानलिदलोका प्राणाय कारुण्या गणा गणा त्वा
संसार दावानलिदलोका प्राणाय कारुण्या घना घनात्वं
संसार दावानलिदलोका प्राणाय कारुण्य गण गण त्वां प्राप्तस्य कल्याण गुणनवस्य वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्द प्राप्तस्य कल्याण गुणानवस्य वन्दे गुरो श्री चरण चरणारविन्दं प्राप्तस्य कल्याणगुणनवस्य वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दं प्राप्तस्य कल्याणगुणार्णवस्य वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दं
महाप्रभु कीर्तन नित्य गीता वादित्रमाद्या मनसुरसेना
महाप्रभु कीर्तन नित्य गीता वादित्रमाद्यान् मनसोरसेना
महाप्रभु कीर्तन नित्य गीता वादित्रमाद्या मनसुरसेना
महाप्रभु कीर्तन नित्य गीता वादित्रमाद्यान् मनसोरसेना रोमाञ्चकम्पा सुतरङ्गभाजो वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दं रोमाञ्चकम्पा सुतरङ्गभाजो वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दं रोमाञ्चकम्पा सुतरङ्गभाजो वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दं रोमाञ्चकम्पा सुतरङ्गभाजो वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दं
श्रीविग्रहाराधन नित्यनादा शृङ्गारतन्मन्दिरमर्दनाद
श्रीविग्रहाराधन नित्यनाना शृङ्गारतन्मन्दिरमर्दनादो
श्रीविग्रहाराधन नित्यनादा शृङ्गारतन्मन्दिरमर्दनाद
श्रीविग्रहाराधन नित्यनाना शृङ्गारतन्मन्दिरमर्दनादो युक्तस्य भक्तं च नियोजतोऽपि वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दं युक्तस्य भक्तं च नियुञ्जतोऽपि वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दं युक्तस्य भक्तं च नियुञ्जतोऽपि वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दं युक्तस्य भक्तं च नियुञ्जतोऽपि वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दं
चतुर्विधा श्री भगवत्प्रसादो स्वादन्नतृप्तान् हरिभक्तसङ्घा
चतुर्विधा श्री भगवत्प्रसादो स्वादन्नतृप्तान् हरिभक्तसङ्घा
चतुर्विधा श्री भगवत्प्रसादो स्वादन्नतृप्तान् हरिभक्तसङ्घा
चतुर्विधा श्री भगवत्प्रसादो स्वाधनतृप्तान् हरिभक्तसङ्घं
चित्वैव तृप्तिं भजत सदैव वन्दे गुरो श्री चरणारविन्दं
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 श्रीराधिका माधवयोरपारा माधुर्यलीला गुणरूपनामा
श्रीराधिका माधवयोरपारा माधुर्यलीला गुणरूपनाम्ना
श्रीराधिका माधवयोरपारा माधुर्य लीला गुण रूप नाना
Shri Radhika Madhavayora Para Madhurya Leela Gunarupana
प्रतीक्षणा स्वादनलोलुपास्य वन्दे गुरौ श्रीचरणारविन्दं
Pratikshana Swadhanalolupasya Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam
प्रतीक्षणा स्वादनलोलुपास्य वन्दे गुरौ श्रीचरणारविन्दं
Pratikshana Swadhanalolupasya Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam
निकुंज यूनो रथ के निषेध्याय या लिधीर्यो तिरपेक्षणीया
Nikunjayono Radhikeli Siddhyai Yayali Bhiyu Tirapekshaniya
निकुंज यूनो रथ के निषेध्याय या लिधीर्यो तिरपेक्षणीया
Nikunjayono Radhikeli Siddhyai Yayali Bhiyu Tirapekshaniya
तत्राति दक्षा गतिवल्लभस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दं
तथा विधाक्षा Dadivalabhasya Guru Sri Charanarvindam
तत्राति दक्षा गतिवल्लभस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दं
Vidaksha Dadivalabhasya Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam
साक्षाद्धरित्वेन समस्तशास्त्रे उक्तस्तथा भायतैव सद्भिः
Chakshadharittvena Samastasastre Yuktastatthava Yataiva Saddhi
साक्षाद्धरित्वेन समस्तशास्त्रे उक्तस्तथा भायतैव सद्भिः
Chakshadharittvena Samastasastre Yuktastatthava Yataiva Saddhi
सुप्रभोर्यः प्रियैव तस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दं
Prabhoyah Priyaiva Tasya Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam
सुप्रभोर्यः प्रियैव तस्य वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दं
Kintu Prabhoyah Priyaiva Tasya Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam
यस्य प्रसादात् भगवत्प्रसादो यस्य प्रसादात् न गति कुतोऽपि
Yasya Prasadat Bhagavat Prasado Yasya Prasadat Nagati Kutopi
आयां सुवां तस्य यस्य श्रीसन्ध्या वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दं
Yayam Suvam Tasya Yasya Sandhya Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam
आयां सुवां तस्य यस्य श्रीसन्ध्या वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दं
Yayam Suvam Tasya Yasya Sandhya Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam
वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दं वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दं
Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam
वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दं वन्दे गुरो श्रीचरणारविन्दं
Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam Vande Guru Sri Charanarvindam
Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinda. Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinda.
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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Jai Radha Krishna Chandra Shri Radhe.
Jai Radha Krishna Chandra Radha Krishna Chandra Radhe.
Jai Radha Krishna Chandra Shri Radhe.
Jai Radha Krishna Chandra Radha Krishna Chandra Shri Radhe.
Jai Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Shri Radhe.
Jai Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Radhe Jai Shri Radhe.
Jai Gauranitai 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 Jai Gauranitai.
Jai Gauranitai 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 Jai Gauranitai.
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jai Jai Prabhupada 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 Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev Prabhupada Gurudev Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Jaya Gurudev Prabhupada Gurudev Prabhupada.
Nitai Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gaur Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol.
Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
ISKCON Sanstapaka Acharya, Savior of the whole world, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Vishnupada Paramahansa Nityalila Pravishta, His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Das Raghunath ki प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्यामा कुंड राधा कुंड गिरी गोवर्धन की मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जगन्नाथपुरी क्षेत्र की गंगामयी यमुनामयी की वृंद देवी तुलसी महारानी की श्री श्री राधा कृष्णचंद्र की श्री श्री कृष्ण बलराम की श्री श्री निताई गौरांग की श्री श्रीनिवास गोविंद की श्री प्रहलाद नरसिम्हदेव की समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की श्रील प्रभुपाद व्यास पूजा महामहोत्सव की हरिनाम संकीर्तन की हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की निताई 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 गौर प्रेमानंदे. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories and glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Hare Krishna devotees. Devotees have made a special cake offering for this Vyasa Puja, depicting the Jaladuta ship by which Srila Prabhupada traveled from India to US. Haribo! So, thank you all for joining for this wonderful festival of Sri Vyasa Puja. I request all the devotees to get the mercy of Srila Prabhupada more and more by visiting here, associating with devotees, his books, his Vani. So please pray to Prabhupada to guide and inspire us to remain steady in his service and progress in spiritual life. Thank you all for joining the festival. Next week we have Mahaprasadam outside. Thank you. Hare Krishna.